We'd first like to thank you for meeting with us today. We know you're a very busy man, and we promise to not take more than 20 minutes of your time to show you a couple of reasons of why we think that you should invest with us and help us import these semiconductor chips from Taiwan. There's a lot of details to go over, but we'll make it as short and simple as possible. Um, First, we want to tell you that who we are. We are a tech company located here in the Central Valley. We are looking to import our semiconductors in order to meet the higher demands that are faced upon us on these challenging COVID times. We've seen a lot of issues with the demand and supply for these products. And we think that being able to import from Taiwan would be a strategic advantage for us. Um, so we've decided to go with TSMC as our importing company. They're also known as the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Um, they've been in business for many years, and they're the leading company in semiconductor production. Um, our goal today is to convince you and demonstrate why TSMC is the right choice and why you should invest with us for this project and why we think it would be a good match. So we first want to start with talking about the manufacturing of these chips. I'd like to talk about the facilities that TSMC has in at Taiwan. So they actually have over 22 facilities nationwide, but 17 of those are actually in Taiwan themselves. Um, they maintain a very dependable capacity, and it's a huge part of their manufacturing strategy. They have mini fabs, mega fabs, gigafabs, fabs being what they call their plant. So their location is a fab. These fabs focus and specialize in producing different sizes of semiconductors. For example, 12-inch gigafabs will focus on producing these 12-inch wafers, which is what these semiconductors are used for and what would be our use as well. They have so many locations and they're able to use the different fabs they have for the different production scales they have. Just makes them a much more efficient process and manufacturer to go with. I'm sure you've seen many companies that dedicate themselves to manufacturing many different things in one plant. It could lead to inefficiencies, mistakes, errors, inventory issues. A lot of things can go wrong, but the fact that they have their plants focused on a certain size, it allows them to run much faster with lower operating costs, more flexibility. I also want to talk about the capacity they have. So between the last 3 years, they've had an annual growth rate of anywhere from 4 to 6%, which is good because they're already such a huge company. But you don't want them growing too much to the point where they don't value us as a little company as much as they do maybe some of their bigger customers. So a big thing with TSMC is that they place value in all their customers, from Apple to what would be us starting this business and importing with them. And then we also want to talk about how agile and intelligent their operations are. So the company is actually driving manufacturing of excellence. And they've integrated artificial intelligence, machine learning, expert systems. They've advanced their algorithms to build up their manufacturing environment, which allows them to increase their quality, their employee productivity, their equipment productivity, and they're optimizing their efficiency as well with their flexibility. And they're also, most importantly, maximizing the cost effectiveness, which allows us to get better pricing with a much better and more reliable company, such as TSMC. The results that they've been able to increased their yield, their quality assurance levels have gone up, their workflow improvement, their fault detection, their cost reduction. But they're such an advanced and high-tech, efficient company that with your investments, we would be able to provide the best product at most efficient rates and most efficient quality within. We want the best items in our quality as well in our products. If we are going to be providing a great quality for our customers, we want to make sure that we have distributors who are of high quality as well. Up to my colleague here to continue talking about not only the manufacturing, but their distribution and the benefits and the weaknesses in that system as well.
To retouch on what my colleague has already stated, Taiwan does make 90% of the world's chips needed for semiconductors to work. Along with that, they're kind of our best option to go with and order from, as it would come out of the port of Taichung, and it would take approximately 20 to 40 days to get here. They do work with different ports in the US, so it would just depend on where we wanted them. They work with the Port of New York, Port of San Francisco, and other ports of that nature. Now to go on to talk about our distribution channels. The way that Taiwan normally distributes things is kind of off of the 75% of sales worldwide model, which is they go from vendor or product to channel sales to different partners and then finally to consumers. Or if you want to look at the other model, it's a one-level channel, a manufacturer to retailer to consumer, or they will do a two-level occasionally, which is manufacturer to a retailer to another retailer to a consumer. But the one that we're going to actually look at is the 25% of sales worldwide, which is direct sales to customers, or the zero-level channel, which is from manufacturer to consumer. And with that, it actually saves us a lot of money going that way with them. Plus, it provides sustainability. It also provides accountability. It also provides dependability, because essentially with us going straight from the manufacturer, it's going to be cheaper. We're not going to have to pay the price hikes that retailers put on as they sell. We are going to also be able to make sure that once that item gets packaged, there'll be a certain chain that Taiwan pushes it through until it gets to our port. And if something goes wrong, they'll be able to internally look at that chain and figure out where the mishandling was. And it just saves us a whole lot of time, gives us a whole lot more reassurance. And also with that, it provides us with a sense of security, and we build a better business network because we're dealing directly with them. And it may allow us to ultimately be able to procure things a little earlier and a little faster. And now my other colleague will tell you about some of the weaknesses that this process may have. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. I also wanted to thank you for potentially investing in our firm. I believe it's a business venture that you don't want to miss. So let me get started with the distribution. So we're lucky to be a partner with TSMC, as they partnered with our firm because they're looking to alleviate the bottleneck at the ports with all the disruptions from COVID. There's been a lot of supply chain issues, and they want to be sure that they're able to get their semiconductor technology to the firms that need it most here on the West Coast of the United States. So by partnering with us, we're able to ensure that there is a steady supply to those industries, and that they're able to access and use TSMC's semiconductor technology in their products. So what products actually need semiconductors? So many people often think that it's just supercomputers, or cars, but it's actually a lot of things that we use in everyday life. So we've actually received contracts and signed contracts with small tech firms here in the United States that produce calculators, washing machines, refrigerators, kitchen appliances like pressure cookers, as well as the companies that make some ATM machines, and also medical firms which manufacture and produce MRI machines, CT scan machines, EKGs, and other health devices. So by having access to more semiconductors through our partnership with TSMC, we're actually going to be able to distribute more inventory to the firms here on the West Coast of the United States. And this will ultimately mean, more money for us and more money for you, and a huge return on your investment. So we're hoping with this partnership with TSMC, we're actually going to have a more and more steady supply of semiconductors, which we'll be able to employ up and down the West Coast of the United States. Now that I've established our clientele, I want to discuss how we will actually be shipping the semiconductors to our clients. So as Kyle mentioned, the semiconductors will actually be coming through the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. And from there, they will be shipped straight to our facilities. So at that point, we don't have to worry about the actual packaging and the storage of the semiconductors, because TSMC will have done all the things necessary to ensure that they're safely transported to us. But we want to be sure that they are safely transported to our clientele. So we've done our research, and we've actually been working with a logistics company that shares the same vision on how our product should be handled. We have in the past worked with logistics companies which we've had dissatisfaction with, because they lack the fundamental knowledge about the shipping process of the semiconductors, which did affect us at one point in time. But since then, we've partnered with RL Logistics, which has workers who are properly trained, and they have all the correct certifications, like electrostatic discharge certification. That's just one example of how static electricity can damage the semiconductors. So this company is up to date and knowledgeable about the shipping process regarding semiconductors. So we partnered with them. They also have the right insurance and are financially sound. So if anything does go wrong in the shipping process, we will be financed properly. There won't be any issues. The insurance will hold up. We also partnered with them because they have a white glove service to ensure that there is cautious handling and attention to detail with our semiconductors, because it is possible for excessive heat, moisture, or vibrations from trucks to damage or ruin the shipment of semiconductors. So with this company, they also ensure a 99.5% on-time delivery rate. So our clientele will receive our products in a timely manner, and the quality of the products will be robust. I mean, there won't be any issues with damages, and they'll be getting them in a speedy amount of time. So this company will ensure that our product gets from our facilities to them in a timely manner, in a productive manner, in a safe manner, so everyone's happy. So I'm going to pass the discussion along to my colleague, who will now be discussing the opportunities and the potential weaknesses of our deal.
Guys, I just want to come and talk to you guys about the weaknesses and some of the vulnerabilities of the past, and what to look forward into the future when it comes to semiconductor distribution and production. So obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw a bunch of unreliabilities within the supply chain and how they were exposed. A lot had to do with the automotive industry. With the pandemic obviously causing a lockdown, car dealerships and companies across the world saw a huge reduction in orders. So automotive companies decided to cut their orders down shorter to accommodate for the lack of purchases, and this caused the semiconductor shortage, specifically in the United States and other countries across the world. And then they're over-relied on fewer chip manufacturers in combinations with natural disasters, and most of these technology companies are feeling the same exact kind of pressures. And then due to the shift in remote working, there was a higher demand in personal computers, and that spiked the highest in the last decade, and is expected to continue obviously through this year and beyond. And with that being said, the increase in demand obviously throttled the tech companies that were selling computers and computer parts, specifically graphics cards. I know are a big deal with semiconductor production, and the demand for those is much higher than the supply at the moment. So with that being said, with the increased demand, Apple is predicted to lose $3 billion in sales during this quarter because of the shortage. Fewer companies are also following into the same steps. However, there are some things to look forward to considering the Chips for America Act, which is moving forward, and Intel is obviously planning to build semiconductor factories within the country, and my colleague will have more on that.
Thank you, Colton, for your segment. I would just like to end our presentation by talking about some of the opportunities of the process. So recently, the United States Congress has worked to pass the CHIPS Act, which stands for the Helpful Incentives to Produce Semiconductors for America Act. This legislation invests $50 billion in producing semiconductors, and $35 billion of that is to be invested by TSMC in a new Arizona lab. So that's going to create a lot of opportunities domestically for workers in the United States. Another incentive of working with Taiwan is that they produce over 90% of semiconductor chips that are smaller than 10 nanometers. So for ones between 10 nanometers and 7 nanometers, they produce 92%. They produce 90% of ones smaller than 5 nanometers, and then they produce, it was 80% of chips that are smaller than 3 nanometers. So when working with this company, we're going to be getting the high-end technology. It's the most advanced technology there is, and Taiwan is really dominating the market right now. So working with them to bring that technology to the United States is only going to be beneficial for the semiconductor industry in the United States. And additionally, TSMC is a main supplier of domestic industries in the United States. So we're thinking things like cars, our electronics, high-end computers, and things like that. And another opportunity is that working with Taiwan in the semiconductor industry will lay the groundwork for creating a free trade agreement and hopefully bolstering our relations with Taiwan in the future. Thank you.